In today's video, I will show you how to measure the needed fabric, how to cut it, and how to sew a flatbed sheet, a duvet cover, and pillowcases. I am very excited to share this video with you because you will see how easy and fast you can make them. Also, you will save money by paying only half of the price if you buy the fabric only. Without further delay, let's start sewing. The size of the mattress is 120 by 200 centimeters. For the flat sheet, I need at least 20 centimeters overhang at each side, and I will add an additional 2 centimeters for the hem allowance. The duvet cover has to be 200 by 230 centimeters. The fabric piece I will cut has to be 200 by 460 centimeters or 202 by 470 centimeters after adding the hem allowance. Note that I am adding a 10 centimeters extra at the bottom of the piece. The dimensions of the pillows I have are 50 by 70 centimeters. For one standard pillowcase, I need to cut a fabric piece measuring 50 by 161 centimeters. Two of the sides will have a seam and the other two will be hemmed, so I will add 4 centimeters extra. These are all the final dimensions of the fabric pieces. At this point, we have to decide how to cut the fabric pieces. It's easier when you write down everything on paper. This is the fabric I will buy. The width of the fabric is 2.20 meters and I have already calculated that I will need a total of 9 meters. You will be able to see the total length of the fabric when you draw all the pieces on the paper. First, I will draw the flat sheet. It has to be 164 by 244 centimeters. The box with the red stripes will be leftover fabric. Next, I will draw the duvet cover. It has to be 470 by 202 centimeters. Lastly, I have to draw the pillowcases. I need 4 of them, and that's why I have oriented them like that. If you now sum the needed length of all pieces, you will get 8.79 meters. This is how I knew I would need 9 meters of fabric in total. After cutting out all the pieces, I will have an additional leftover strip about 21 centimeters by 2.20 meters. Let's start by sewing the flat sheet. After you cut the piece to the correct size, you need to hem all of its sides. I won't cut the selvage, instead I will use it to make the hem. To make the hem, first fold the fabric as shown in the video with twice the amount of the hem width you want to have. I like my hems to be at least 1 centimeter, so in this case I will fold the fabric by 3 centimeters. The thinner the fabric, the narrower the hem should be. If you have a sewing gauge, it will be very easy to make the hem. After you fold the fabric, iron it to make the crease on the fold. Now unfold the fabric and fold it again so the edge is on the crease. Iron the fold to make another crease. Now fold the fabric using the first crease you made and iron it again. This is how fast and easy the hem is made. Now use some pins or clips to keep the hem in place, then move the fabric to the right and continue with the next section. The fabric is way too big to iron it all at once. I like to hem the top and the bottom first, then the sides. This way, the hem on the opposite sides of the fabric overlaps the hem on the top and bottom edges and it is symmetrical, so if the hemming police come you won't get fined, also your OCD won't be triggered. That's why the hem on the left is already made. I will sew all sides at once when everything is folded. To sew the hem, I will use my all-time favorite presser foot. It's a 1/8 of an inch compensating foot. It will help me to sew fast in a straight line exactly 3 mm away from the top edge of the hem. The stitch length of my machine is set to 3.5 mm. At this point is pretty much sewing straight and removing the clips as you go. When you get to the corner, push the sticking edge of the fabric towards the inside of the hem. I will finish the seam with a back tack, then I will rotate the fabric and sew along the other side. After sewing all the sides, the flatbed sheet will be done. While I'm sewing, please don't forget to support me by liking the video and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Tell me, have you ever sewed bed sheets or will this be your first time? Now we have to make the pillowcases. You will see that they are very easy to make as well. I already have the fabric cut to size, so at first I will lay it so the right side is towards the ironing board and the short side is towards me. Now I will fold the fabric the same way as for the flatbed sheet. Both short sides must be hemmed. I will fold the fabric by 3 cm. Now iron on the fold. Unfold the fabric and fold the edge towards the crease. Now iron the edge to make a second crease. Fold the edge along the first crease and iron the fabric again. You may check if your hem is consistent in width. If everything is looking good, you can place some clips to hold the hem in place. Now turn the piece around so the other short side is towards you. The right side of the fabric must be towards the ironing board. Use the sewing gauge and make the same hem as on the other side. Once again, I will use the compensating presser foot to sew both hems. It will help me make the seam exactly 3 mm from the top edge. I will start and end by making a back tack, but if you want to save some time, you may skip back tacking. Both side seams will later keep these hems from unraveling, so the back tacking at this time is unnecessary. The first seam is done, so I have to rotate the fabric and sew the second one. I will lay the fabric with the right side towards me and I will make markings 25 cm from the hem. Now fold the other side of the fabric as shown in the video. The top of the second hem should be aligned with the markings we just made. Make sure everything is perfectly aligned and iron the fabric. If you have cut the fabric in a straight line, the bottom edges will be aligned like the ones in the video. Now fold the left side over the right one. Make sure everything is aligned perfectly and lies flat, then iron the pillowcase. Now make straight seams on both sides of the pillowcase. I will prepare the rest of the pillowcases first, then I will sew them all at once. This is why I will place some clips to keep the fabric aligned. To make the side seams, I will use the universal presser foot. There won't be any problem if you skip this step and use the compensating one, but I will change it for the purpose of the video. When making these seams, you have to start and end using back tack. But you can also use back tack when you get to the edge of the flap. This will ensure the seam is strong and you won't tear the flap while inserting the pillow. Now let's make the seam on the other side. When you get to the beginning of the flap, slow down and make sure it won't get moved by the presser foot. At this point, the pillowcase is almost done. The seams are ready and the fabric isn't frying, so you can leave them like that. However, if the fabric tends to fry or you just want to make the pillowcases as good as possible, you can serge the edges. If you don't have an overlocker, you can use the zigzag stitch on your sewing machine and sew along the sides. The belt of my beloved overlock machine was about to break, so I was very careful. I even thought I wouldn't be able to sew all the pillowcases, but I was very lucky that day and it didn't break in the middle of the sewing. I need to replace it as soon as possible. I didn't change the threads, but if you have this type of overlocker, you will know why I skipped this step. At this point, we have to weave in the thread tails with the small latch hook. Then cut the thread tail short. Your support means a lot, so I would appreciate if you take a minute to like the video and leave me a comment below. Now we can finally turn the pillowcase inside out and see the final result. This is the easiest and at the same time a good looking pillowcase that can be made. Now we only have to sew the duvet cover. I will show you what I'm going to do on a small piece of fabric because it will be hard to film the actual piece. First, fold the piece with the right side inside and make the side seams. After the side seams are done, fold the fabric from the open edge and make a hem the same way you did for the flat sheet. Before folding the fabric for the hem, you may cut the edges close to the seam on both sides at an angle to avoid too much bulk on the edges. When you fold and iron the fabric, sew the hem. After this is done, fold the duvet cover in half and mark 45 cm at each side of the center. When you unfold the fabric, there will be two markings 45 cm from the center each, or in other words, you will have marked 90 cm hole for the duvet. Now start sewing until you get to the marking, then rotate the fabric at 90 degrees and sew back and forth over the hem. Leave the hole open, then sew the other side the same way. To make the process as clear as I can, I will leave a part of the actual footage. I'm sewing several sets of bed sheets and that's why this one is blue. I was looking for the best footage possible where everything is clear. Now you can see how I have folded the duvet cover in half and I'm aligning all layers. The center of the cover is on the right side of the screen. After aligning all layers, I will iron them just to make sure everything stays flat and in place. Now I'm measuring 45 cm from the center, or in other words, from the fold. Do the same marking on the other side of the fabric. Now start sewing until you reach the marking, then rotate the fabric and sew over the hem. Then leave the hole unsewn. Start sewing at the hem where the second marking is, then rotate the fabric and continue sewing until you close the bottom. Now you can see how I will sew it. I will use the universal presser foot and the seam will be just above the hem. I got to the marking and now I will rotate the fabric to sew over the hem. Sew back and forth several times to prevent tearing the seam while inserting the duvet. Now I will move the fabric forward until I get to the next marking. It's a good idea to place pins on the markings while you are marking their position. If you forget to do that, you will have to double check if the layers are aligned as I'm doing right now. I will start by sewing back and forth over the hem several times. Now I will rotate the fabric and continue sewing until the other half of the bottom is closed. This is what the opening looks like. At this point the duvet cover is ready, but if you want to make it even better, you may install snap fasteners to the hem. I will show you how I will install the snap fasteners on the blue cover. At first we have to measure the opening. In my case it is 90 centimeters, but it's good to double check that. I will install 4 snap fasteners, so let's calculate their position. 90 divided by 4 is equal to 22.5 centimeters. So each fastener should be 22.5 centimeters apart from each other. To calculate where to install the first one, we have to divide this result in half. 22.5 divided in half is equal to 11.25, so the first snap fastener must be installed 11.2 centimeters from the beginning of the opening. The following fasteners have to be installed 22.5 centimeters apart from the first one. If the calculations are correct, the fourth fastener will be exactly 11.2 centimeters away from the end of the opening, and the fasteners will be symmetrically spaced. Now you can see how I'm attaching the fasteners using the special pliers that came with the kit. I have a dedicated video that you can watch if you need more details on the process. This is what the bottom of the duvet cover looks like. Now I'm going to fold everything and wrap it nicely because it is meant to be a Christmas present. That's all I had for today. Have a nice day and see you next time.